for joining us down here at the Grove for our next video. This I am over the moon excited about and fangirling a little bit because I am here today with Linda from Wilder Heart Studios, the creator of the Northern Animal Tarot deck. So I'm sure you've, if you're an Instagram person or a YouTube person and you're following along with all the new decks coming out, this is like the hottest deck out right now. And I'm sure you've seen it floating around in the tarot sphere. And I am just really, really honored and so excited. Linda, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So this is also very special for me because I think this is my very first Canadian-made deck, and I'm a Canadian person myself, and I'm wearing a Canadian-made sweater. I'm drinking out of a Canadian cup with my Canadian deck, and it's just really fun to support like other Canadian creators. So I'm just double excited about that and having you join us today. So first thing I'd like to get started with is if you just wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about yourself, like what's your journey with the tarot in general? How did you get started?
Totally, for sure. Yeah, I think I started along with everybody else when you're like a teenager and you buy a deck and you have no idea how to use it. And you're like, yeah, this is like something. I got the Dragon Tarot. So I really loved like the images, but I had no idea how to read it. The white book was the mystery. And then I got the Alice in Wonderland deck. And then I understood sort of more what the arcana was. Like it means like a character behind the image. And because I knew Alice in Wonderland, I could see the character, like the depth. Whereas with the dragons, I didn't know a dragon. So I that's sort of when I started to I could kind of grasp what was happening. But then as a kid, you throw it away and whatever. And then a couple years ago at a cafe, there was a girl like had all her tarot cards out and was like talking with a friend. And I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? What's up? We need to be friends. And she had just finished a tarot class. So I was like, well, I'd like to hang out. And then she wanted to study, like kind of review her skills. So we started like a little tarot club. And yeah, and then that's when I realized that both those decks were not very good beginner decks because she had learned the Rider-Waite like system.
As you do, yeah.
Yeah. And so then I was like, okay, I'm going to go buy a deck. And then I didn't love the Rider-Waite deck, the like really red and yellow one.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I ended up finding finally the Centennial version, which is much better. It's like a lot more calmer. But I still didn't like the humans. Like I really wanted to dive into this story that just the cards were telling rather than pretending it was like me so much. I just wanted to, you know, and with the humans there, I kept getting like sidetracked with like, who's this? Like the king, queens, and pages, right? You're like, sometimes they have such funny readings. Like he's the tall, dark businessman that you can't like, and I'm like, what?
Yes.
That doesn't seem. So I really looked for an animal deck forever on the internet, and I couldn't find one where they still had the human part, you know?
Right.
So that I could still read and learn the cards. So yeah, that's kind of when I started envisioning a different deck. Yeah.
Okay. And then as an artist, are you self-taught? Have you studied art? Like how did you get involved in doing artwork for the deck as well?
Yeah. I've self-taught and I took it early on in school a lot. Like I took printmaking in junior high and kind of kept that up. And then I do block printing, silk screening, all sorts of like, I also do painting, but I find like sometimes you only get one painting. Whereas like when you block print or silk screen, you can share it a lot more and you can put it on different surfaces, sort of. Right. So that's why the artwork looks so like line drawn and like it's stronger. It's less like painted, I suppose. So still kind of, it could be, it's like on the edge of like, could be a graphic because of the t-shirt background I kind of had. Right. With making like strong images. So yeah, and that kind of worked because Pamela Nicole Smith is really like line heavy as well. She was really like, right? Yes. So I was like, my art's kind of like at like okay, she's actually so amazing. You don't think about it because it's simple, but she scaled all the humans the right size, like for all her drawings. Like when you think about when you have to draw it, you realize like how much thought she put in, even though they are very simple and it is just line work, like the balance of not coming too forward and far back with her characters. It's, yeah. And yeah, so yeah, she kind of, and then when I got the centennial thing, I had that whole booklet about her, and she was really inspiring, and I was like,
yes,
I'll just do it for me at least. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, that commemorative set of hers is beautiful. That's the deck I read with as well a lot, is the centennial version. Yeah, it's gorgeous. But yes, and I agree with that. Like the line work of your deck really stands out, because there is a lot of them have this beautiful background imagery, but I don't know, nothing like blends together. Like there you can't, yeah, exactly. Like you can always see like very, very crisp, clear lines. Yeah, in everything. Yeah. It's just, the artwork on this deck is so stunning. If you haven't checked out my unboxing video of this yet, you can hear me oogle over it for the first time. So check that out as well.
that was the first one I watched, and I was so like, you make this all by yourself. Like it was the dark of winter. Like up here, it's dark all winter. So I'm in the dark all winter drawing this, and then you have to ship it out to people. And I was like, people aren't gonna see it, and it was just kind of mind-boggling. And so to have yours as my first deck opening, it was really, I was so scared and you were so kind, so it was perfect. I love it. It's my favorite.
It's just, it's such a special deck. And we'll talk about the packaging that it came in a minute, because that was also mind-blowing as well. But while we're talking more about the process and how this started, I'm very interested to know, what was the moment, that creative spark, that inspiration? When did you decide you were going to make your own deck? Because you said, you know, you were looking for something more animal-like, but a lot of people think that, you know, oh, if I were making a deck, it would be like this, like that. But then to actually start and to carry out through, like what did that look like from the moment you thought, I want something better, to I'm actually going to do this?
Yeah, that's a great question. I spent way too much time on the internet and couldn't buy anything I wanted. So I was like, okay, this really has to be real. So what I did, I think I bought like giant sheets, those big white sheets. I think they use them for like offices and businesses, those like big sheets. Anyway, I drew a grid of like 70, probably 80, like considering all the things. And I was like, so I went through and sketched like what animal I would put in which card, because at Tarot Club, I would kind of think about what animal would go where. Oh, and a lot of the decks online had animals from all over the world, which is super cool, except for I didn't, like there was one deck, I think they had a koala as like the queen of wands. And I was like, I don't know anything about koala bears. Like, you know,
yeah.
So I wanted to make a deck of animals, like almost like I'm very into stories, and I love Alice in Wonderland and fables, and like how there's like deeper meanings. And then I don't know if you know that book, Women Who Run with Wolves.
Okay, no, not familiar with it.
It's amazing. I feel like, yeah. So she kind of goes through stories and how all those stories relate to like the women's psyche, and how you're supposed to take away, right? Because fairy tales are nice now, but back in the day, they were, I think, a bit scarier. They were to like warn people of things.
Yes.
So I kind of wanted like a group of animals that would actually interact, and then that dynamic could happen. And so then when you read the cards, you actually know that these animals could interact in like a nature or like in real life, whereas like a shark and an emu may not hang out. That's vague, but you know, so I wanted the characters, I want to feel like there's a setting and the characters are in it, and then it's your choice to move those around into different sequences so that you could read different stories. Yeah.
Wow, I hadn't even considered that. That's really fascinating, because yeah, I mean, it's all the northern animals, right? They all are in the same environment. They all can interact. But yeah, that would really trip you up in a reading, you know, if you had two very different, you know, it changes the background, it changes kind of the whole thing. So that's really, that's a very cool note. Thank you for sharing that. I really love that. And also it hits home for me too. You know, I'm a northern animal lover as well. And that's all I know. You know, I've traveled a very little bit, but these are, you know, I know what a moose is and I know what an owl is and I see them all the time kind of thing.
Yeah. And I think they're mostly animals from fairy tales because it's always like there's always the woods, right? And the animals come from the wood. So kind of people kind of know those animals already. So I was like, yeah, I think this, I feel like I know them. So I was like, it's easier to make a deck if you feel like you know the character a bit, you know? Yeah.
Certainly. Yeah, absolutely. That totally makes sense. Beautiful. Okay, so the next question I have for you, I wanted to just talk about some of the hidden elements that you have in the cards, because at first glance, they are stunning. There's so much going on. The line work is amazing. But when you dive that little bit deeper and you sit with the cards, you've added a lot of extra symbolism, a lot of neat little bits and bobs here and there. And one of the cards in particular, so the Ace of Swords, in the traditional Rider-Waite, you have the little yods, the little yellow things. But here you actually have pine cones.
Yeah, I think the other one's like a palm leaf and like something else. I did pine cones because they're sort of an homage to the pineal gland in your brain, so that, and yeah, same with him. Yeah, so he's got the pine cones in the crown. So it's really just having that intuition, the breakthrough, and like unclouded connection with like universe and be able to get those answers. Yeah, I know.
Definitely.
Yeah, and they're on the back of the cards.
Yes.
Yeah, so we have so that's why I picked so they kind of look like pineal glands, and then the oak leaves are for like wisdom and like through generation wisdom. Yeah.
Beautiful. And I love that as well that you said intuition with the Suit of Swords, because I feel like that's one of those ones that often gets shuffled off into the Suit of Cups. You know, your emotions and your intuition, and that's in cups. And it's like, but swords.
Yeah.
But,
well,
you know,
I guess you could apply intuition to all of them to move through them properly, but yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. What else did I hide? The pine cones. I don't know. I did a lot with stars, like I think this is the one, for all the they're not witches, the queens, sorry.
Yeah.
They all have like the star halo. And because I loved how like the Queen of Cups had it, but I was like, they're all like integrated into the system of like cosmic, because it's the queen of, she knows the family. Yeah, see, they all have the stars. So I kind of added that in because I feel like they all have that power. So I added it.
Definitely. Extra. Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Amazing.
For like some suits, it's like obvious, it's the swords, but for the wands, I wanted to make them trees so that the wands come and go. They're either wands or they become part of the picture, which is fun.
Yes, so I love that.
Kind of changes back and forth.
Yeah, so in like the Four of Wands, they're in the forest between the four trees, but then in the Five of Wands,
yeah, so it's a little more playful. Yeah.
That's really cool. And that's neat as well, because I've been recently diving into another school of thought, shall we say, where the wands represent air. And a big part of where that comes from is the fact that, you know, trees grow up into the air and they reach very high in that sort of sense too. So I think that's really cool as well, that they're rooted in the ground that way. That's just so beautiful. I love that. And like, look at the detail on this Nine of Wands. You could see his little breath here.
Yeah. Right.
Amazing.
A long day and then like a cold morning with frost. No, it's but it, you know, it's gonna get warmer at some point. It's not enough snow to stay.
Man, absolutely. I have been there. That card. I mean, just the whole their body language, the expressions they have on their face, like even just the little white of the mouse's eye in the Fool card where you can see that sense of wonder. It's just
I put shoes on the ladybug, which I went. He's got fun shoes. His shoes with socks.
Yes. Okay.
So,
that was another thing I wanted to ask you about was the little ladybug instead of, the dog from the Rider-Waite. What was the choice with the ladybug? Because that's amazing.
I had researched the Fool a bit, and it's something about warning them, right? So sometimes it was a dog. Some of the decks, it was other animals or like an eagle, or I think there was a couple of things. And I just was like, well, if you're a mouse, you're only like this tall. So who would be like a mouse friend? And then I was like, probably like a pretty ladybug would be a good friend to have if you're a mouse. So that's kind of scaled in friend. And then ladybugs are lucky. So I was like, and he can fly over the cliff. Technically, he could still go with you.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, okay. I'm happy to know that now. That's fantastic. Too cute. Aw. Yes. Okay. So the hidden elements and then the cards themselves, like especially the majors, but all of them kind of go this way. You had made a post on Instagram about the Hierophant card, which there are 2 in this deck, which are fantastic because I know for a lot of people that could be a challenging card. Sharon, one of the other Grove founders, this is not her favorite card either. So I love that you had put that out there on Instagram when you were creating it for people to vote. And I remember not being able to really pick, but I think I went with this one just because I'm a little bit of a traditionalist at heart. But wow. How come you drew a second one? Was it for that reason?
Well, because animals don't really, like all the other cards, I could kind of interpret back into nature. But the Hierophant, I was like, it's such a classic card. It's a bit of a trigger card for people, and animals don't really go to church. So I was like, he looks good, like he's, but then I was like, but for me and like maybe other people, maybe they want to see something different. So then I made this guy who's more of just like, he could be a guide, like more up to interpretation, but he still has like the keys of knowledge and like unlocking. And then I did the poll and I was like, okay, like obviously one will win. And then after I think 2 or 3 days, I literally counted everybody's and like tallied them. It was a complete tie. So I was like, well, now I can't pick. And I was like, well, if I'm making the deck, I can just do whatever I like. So I just did 2. So
that's so special.
Why not? Why pick? Right.
You had chose the goat, you had said, because he, like they climb up the mountain, right? And they lead people that way.
They're crazy. Like if you look up these maps, they go, I don't even know, up scaled cliffs that's like straight up in like little pieces of, I don't know, ledge. And they just leap up it all the way to the top where there's like barely even eagles and they just hang out there on the side of a cliff meditating. Like, I don't know what they're doing up there.
Yeah.
There's nothing to eat. It's like, it's crazy. They just like the high of it. So I figured he would be a good one because nobody really goes up there that high.
It's remarkable. So was there that train of thought for a specific purpose that each one of the animals were chosen? Each of the cards?
Usually, like, I really like it. I took about a year crafting what animals would go where and why. So I spent a lot of time with the majors, and then I kind of figured most of them, and like for the Devil's Say, like I didn't want to portray an animal as a bad creature. So I kind of made him like a shapeless shapeshifter creature. So he's more of like an energy rather than, right? Like I didn't want to put a big bad wolf because wolves are actually really good for ecosystems.
Yes, definitely.
So he actually is not an animal, but so I did really think about the critters and like, like the otters are funny because you don't think about it, but they're naked. You don't even notice, right?
Yes.
So it's still exactly like the other card, but you just forget that, anyway, I thought it was cute.
And otters sleep holding hands. I saw a YouTube video where like they were holding hands asleep, and I thought that was perfect for the
they support each other. So I thought it was cute. And then, yeah, I think, but what I had a harder time was the suits, because I wanted them to make sense and not just kind of jump around. So for wands, I put like wolves, coyotes, and foxes, kind of like this fast moving, group oriented, like vibe.
Mhm.
And then for swords, obviously like birds, obviously, but, and then for cups, I was like I was kind of, that was a harder pick. But then I picked, because I moved to the country, and hooved animals can move through the water very easily. They don't drown, like, right? Like even elk,
Yes.
I think, can swim across lakes. So I figured they move through water without feeling like they're gonna drown.
Yes.
Or like, they're not troubled by it. So I figured
Right.
they would be, yeah. So all the hoofed creatures are for cups. And then for pentacles, it's more like rabbits, squirrels, because they live close to the earth and they either go in it or they live like right from it. So yeah, yeah, that's all the
Beautiful.
suits. Yeah.
Oh,
So they do have a little bit of a rhythm. Yeah.
totally. Oh, that's amazing. And yeah, okay, so here's the next question I'm very curious about. Your favorite card before, and I mean not necessarily in this particular deck, which I'm curious to know as well if you have a favorite. But before you started creating this deck, like, did you have a favorite tarot card? And what was your experience like creating that card because it was your favorite?
I actually made the first card first because it is my favorite. The Magician is my favorite card.
Yes.
And I was like, who's going to be the magician? He actually has to be magical. And I was like, what critters in North America are like pretty magical? And I know everyone's like, oh, a raccoon. But raccoons are the only animals that actually have the thumb. So they can unzip your tent. They can open windows. They're pretty, you could use the word bothersome, or you could use the word magical, because a deer can't open a door or unzip your tent. I don't know where he went. Where did he go? But he was my first one. Wow. And I really spent a lot of time on him.
Oh yes, here he is.
Yeah, like his little magic pouches and his I had so much fun with him. He was my first one, and he was the one that hung and really inspired the rest of the cards. Yeah, he was yeah, but he was the first one. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And is he still would you say your favorite card of your deck, or do you have?
I like them all, but I do think he's still one of my favorite, along with the Hanged Beast is one of my favorite cards. I think it's his shoes and his cute ears. I don't know. And because I think people forget that they eat all the insects. They do the pollinating. They're pretty handy little creatures.
Yeah. Big time.
Yeah. So yeah.
Very cool.
They're all good, but I think those are my two that I was a little bit fussy with and really liked.
Yeah. So sorry, go ahead.
No, keep going.
Did you have anything else to say on your favorites?
No, that's all.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, on the other side of the spectrum then, do you have a least favorite card in tarot in general? If you had to say either it didn't resonate very well, or you just don't like seeing it, or for whatever reason, it's just that card has not been your favorite. Do you have one, and what was the experience like creating that one?
I don't know if it's super specific. I do feel like the Hierophant was a little troublesome, and not even because of the original one, but just because when I think of storytelling with that character, I had a harder time in putting him into a story where things would work out. So I think I look at them as characters, and then I think I find the ending cards sometimes hard, like the tens, because they're an ending and a beginning. So sometimes I feel kind of right, I'm yeah, it depends on the reading, but it also, you're kind of, but then it's you could read it wrong just so that you could get a better reading. So I find that challenging when cards kind of have, all cards do, but I find like ending cards or beginning cards tricky, and the Hierophant. Oh, and I think the Temperance, actually.
Yes.
Temperance is tricky for me too. Yeah, because it's that stuck in between two scary cards, and she's like, "What's up?" You're like, "Ah!" So this like
Definitely.
balancing, yeah.
Oh,
And not so
gorgeous.
much singularly, like, you know, you read it in the book, you're like, I get it, but more like in a reading, I'm like, oh, you know.
For sure, yeah. And I think that just the theme of this deck, because it's so very almost nostalgic. It's certainly got a fairy tale-esque to it. It's the art is just so beautiful, but it's like it's gentle, but it still got bite. Honestly, like it's such a, I don't know. When I was first looking through it, and I have some decks in my collection that are, they're certainly on the gentle side. They will give you a gentle reading. They will be more kind. This deck will go there. You know, like
Yeah.
I have had, I've read for myself a number of times, and I've done quite a few client readings with it so far. And it's such an excellent, well-rounded deck, both with interpreting the animals and the imagery and just the clear line work. It's such a crisp, clean reader. So if you're familiar with the Rider-Waite system at all, it's a very easy transition to picking up this deck.
That's definitely what I wanted. I was like, it's easy for beginners or like younger people if they're trying to get into it, or if you're like super mastered, then you can just flip through them real fast and you're like, oh, this is easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other card I wanted to ask you about is the Queen of Swords.
Oh yeah.
My favorite card. Wow. That is because a lot of times the Queen of Swords, you know, she gets a bad rep for whatever reason. But here, she looks so sweet. She's almost got a smile on her face. She's got all the stars around, and she's sitting with her eggs, which is incredible too, because you don't often hear in the tarot sphere that she's the most motherly of queens.
Yeah.
So how, like, what was your choice for putting her sitting on her eggs? Is that more of a guardian, don't mess with my babies type energy, or?
I think it's because like all the other cards, you know, they have like such a thing. And then the Queen of Swords was like, oh, she's you know, she's too smart, or like she's too like decisive. I was like, those are good things that women should be. I was like, what? I was like, so what if she's work driven? That sounds great. So that's actually why she has the little business jacket on. She has a bit of a blazer kind of look to her jacket. Yeah, so she has that, but it has a bit of a puff sleeve, which makes it more gentle. So I really just went for like that working, smart, strong decisions, but she still can have a family, and she doesn't have to be, what did they call her, widowed or something in the Rider-Waite? It's like
the bitter widow, like really.
And she doesn't even have to be with children, but those eggs could also be her ideas or her creations, or her work, or like structures that she's building in the community. Like, do you know what I mean? I just felt like that card was like, so I was like, the Queen of Swords sounds awesome. So I just kind of brought that into the thing. And then I brought in the butterfly, so that psychic connection kind of is, I wanted her to be awesome, because all the other ones are.
Yes, I agree. I think she's so awesome. And it was, like, and when you had said too, like, she's the widow, and it's like, why does her consort get, you know, the smart, independent business leader, and she gets, you know, the bitter widow? Like, come on, we can do better.
Yeah.
I love that. Fantastic. Okay, so now I want to ask you about all of the juicy extra cards. There are a number of cards that came with the deck as well, apart from the 78 plus extra Hierophant. So first we have the 3 spread cards here. Are these spreads that do you use these a lot yourself, or how did you decide which ones made it on your spread cards?
Well, because of COVID, I felt like I was reading a lot just for myself. And so I feel like I go to tarot when I have questions. So and sometimes you don't know what those questions should be, or like where you're checking in, because you can feel so maybe thrown from the day or whatever's happening. So I just thought it'd be really good to have like 3 spreads that are all about you, and kind of something easy to apply to like daily life, that are interesting, but also not so epic that you're like, wow, this is too many cards, or it's like not really about what's happening to me right now, but we always have a heart. We're always usually doing something. And so I felt like, yeah. And then I wanted to put them, I wanted to have the cards so that you didn't have to flip back and forth from the front of the book, you know?
Yes.
So, yeah.
And I love that as well. I've done that. I take these 3 out and I'll just chuck them around and say like, what spread should I be casting today? And I love that. You know, you're then pulling another card for a spread instead of flipping through a book. So really love that addition to the deck. And then you have also the moon phase cards.
Yeah.
Oops. Which are so beautiful. I was just saying before we started here, I had lost my full moon card and I was panicking because I didn't know where it was, but I had put it on an altar downstairs because it was our full moon last week. So I'm already very well using these cards. I just think they're beautiful altar art for the phase of the moon wherever we're at. But what was your inspiration for making these particular cards?
So usually in stories, the moon really like comes in visually, or like lots of the journeys happen or start at night, or there's like, you know, there's always like the moon is like brought in somehow a lot to fairy tales.
Right.
And I had also, I have the pagan deck. I forget, Usi or something. But they're plain.
Pagan
they're like,
Otherworlds? Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
They have them, but they're just circles.
Oh,
and
okay.
I love the idea of like that fairy tale moon that's watching you or like participating in some way. So if you actually look at those cards, like that one has a jumping fish in the lake. The fish is jumping at the bottom. Yeah, so
yes, it is.
Yeah, so he can see kind of deeper into the water, and he's able to like, and that one has a fox. He's looking up into the stars and like maybe seeing like celestial, and then the bear who may have just, you know, either woken up or he's getting late start to his day, who knows. Yeah, so I really wanted to create a card that would add to like the story of like either watchfulness or like, I don't know. Yeah.
Gorgeous. Oh, thank you for pointing those out. I had completely missed the little companions at the bottom.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty much animals in every card.
Yes. And then we have our seasonal cards.
Yes. Yeah, I drew them more like, I feel like everyone would have liked to see a different spring card, but for North America, I feel like spring has snow. No, that's summer. The bunny is spring.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Here we go. Yes.
Yeah, yes. Because there's always a bit of snow. It's muddy. I feel like North American spring isn't like flowers and beauty. It's like kind of crazy and muddy and wet. And so I just wanted to have a different idea of spring.
Beautiful. Yes. I love that. Oh,
yeah. And then the crunchy snow of winter. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, these cards are just stunning. Would be excellent for timing as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so you could lay them on top of your spread if there's like a full moon and then it's fall, and then you could do your spread underneath. Or yeah, you could ask a question for the season and mix them in. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. And then we have the, there is the seed and the shooting star and the messenger, the messages, the little owl.
Yeah. Yeah. I had sort of just drawn the owls and I was like, they kind of need to be part of it. And I liked the idea. I know in Harry Potter, they come during the day, but most owls only fly at night.
Yes.
So I like that idea of like, usually you don't see an owl till it's past you, like it's flown past you because they're so quiet. And so you don't even hear them like flapping. They're like ghosts. And so in that way, when I like was walking in the fall, you would only see like the tail end of the owl, but like they would still kind of, it was their choice for you to see them because they're so quiet. So I thought that was super interesting. And I guess I had never thought about it. And while I was doing this deck, I was thinking about all the animals. And then the seed card, I thought like it's super different, but to grow a tree, to grow a plant, to like create anything, it needs darkness. And it needs that time like away from everything to just like spark the life. And like sometimes like sparking and growing goes unseen, you know, like it's very
Very much so.
People don't see it. Maybe people almost don't feel it, but it's deep down inside. So I just wanted a little seed card.
Yeah, that's really deep. That's beautiful. Oh, these extras are just such a treat. And then we have the shadow cards,
Ooh.
which are the coolest.
Yeah, right? Bigfoot. It's like,
Wow.
obviously. Yeah, and the spooky old tree. Yeah.
They're amazing.
And the ghost. Yeah.
My particular favorite.
And then your favorite.
Look at this.
Yeah, he really turned out. He showed up for that. Because I kind of have the idea of him. And then he just kept adding to himself. And like, it was pretty epic. Because like I have an idea, but then you also have to draw it. And then sometimes it will change. But he really was like, I'm here for this card and I'm going to take over. I'm like, okay, sure.
Definitely.
See your card.
Oh,
yeah.
And the way like the light, like just illuminated in his hand. It's just, that card is magnificent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I got to get one of those little card holders so he can live on my reading table full time.
Totally. Yeah. I just
prints are available.
Yes, maybe. Yeah. Right. When I'm done sending out the last little bits of them, I can start doing all the fun stuff. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I just made all those cards really just to like enhance stories, right? Like there's so many, like I think Sleepy Hollow has a scary tree. Fern Gully has a scary tree. Like there's just so many. And so I wanted to bring spooky-esque characters
certainly
into stories if you wanted them to be there, because yeah, tarot cards can be good or bad, but I just wanted to have a little bit more like a story that you could add if you wanted.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah,
like
definitely. Like I have so far, I haven't mixed the extras into the deck. I usually read with them on their own. And they can be, it's almost like its own little oracle on the side of the deck, you know, and it's nice because it's all the same artistic style. So I like pairing my oracles and tarot decks. So I feel like I got 2 in 1, particularly with this deck.
I almost feel like I kept going and I was like, hey, Linda, you have to stop drawing the extra cards, because it was almost like a way for me not to like, it's almost like I was holding out, because I was like, well, once I get it printed, like I was, you know, you can't just keep adding cards. So I was like,
yes.
And then I was like, you have to stop. I don't know how many extras I made, but I was like, okay, that's enough. I had to like cut myself off because I just kept going.
For sure. And talking about extras, these bags are amazing.
Yeah.
They're just beautiful. Are these, like, is this painted? How is this graphic on here?
So it's actually carved. So it's lino. So it's printing. And then back in the day, they used to do it on wood blocks, but nowadays to save your hands, you do it on like a rubber block, and then it carves out. Yeah. And then you roll the ink on it and then you press it down. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's basically like a stamp in a way. Yeah.
It's like gorgeous. And it's nice. Like, I love how you can put the cards in the box in the bag, because I wouldn't have been able to decide if it, you know, should the box have not fit in there. So I keep it in both, and it's such a nice little storage. You know, the box protects the cards, and then you'd also have your little bag.
Yeah. And it's quite a snug bag, which I really liked. I didn't like the idea of like the loose bag and the whole thing like shaking around. So it's just like a perfect little hug. And I was like, and it's not so bulky. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Wow. Well, Linda, thank you so much. This has been so excellent getting to chat with you today. Where can people find you if they want to know more about you and your work and how they can pick up a deck? Where should people go?
They can go to my Instagram. I have Northern Animal Tarot, Northern Animal Tarot for Instagram. And then my website is Wilder Hearts Studio. Just because I hope to make like a companion for this deck eventually when I have a little more time.
Yay!
So that would be fun. So I sent out all the Kickstarter stuff. I have like a couple hundred extra decks, and I'm just rolling them, wrapping them, and then hopefully sell them.
Yes.
And then Then I want to quickly start working. I have a couple other ideas, but it kind of depends like which one starts drawing easier, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, we're really looking forward to those, and we'll keep an eye out.
Thank you.
I'll put the links to all of your things below, so you can check out in the comments below for how you can get a hold of Linda and how you can get a hold of this incredible deck.
Yeah.
It's so special and so stunning, and this cardstock is just
yeah.
divine.
I really wanted, so it's Kickstarter, so I was like, if there's ever a time to do them, I think it's during Kickstarter to be risky.
Yes,
right?
for sure. Yeah.
It's the creative platform. So I really like the texture of the box. I really went off like old books that you find in vintage shops that have the fabric on them, you know?
Yes.
And then slightly pressed in, and then they have the gold ink, or like they have everything. So that's really what I was going for. It's so that it feels like you open this like this book, and then all of a sudden the colors and the characters pop like out of it. I think a lot of people were like, oh, you really could have gone all out on the box, but I wanted it to be kind of simple and like almost like the inside's more of the surprise than the box. You know, sometimes the box is so crazy that then the inside's like, oh, I wanted sort of the reverse, to have all the color on the inside. Be like, whoosh. Yeah,
for sure. The box is stunning, and I'm glad you pointed that out too, with the texturing that you have there. Like, I feel every aspect of this deck was gone all out. Like, honestly, it's incredible quality. The cardstock is amazing. The box, the bag. When I packaged it, check out that unboxing video. Like, seriously, the box that came in and all the packing. Like, did you pack those all by hand?
Yes, I stamped every box, stamped every claw. Wrapped like I did this, and then I wrapped all of them by hand. I was like, how long could that take? Well, it took a little longer than I thought, but everybody was patient, so it was okay.
It did not go unnoticed. Like, honestly, you feel so much coming off of the deck. Even when it first arrived at my door, I was just ecstatic.
Well, I did everything the way I would. You know, like I was like, I would want it to have all these layers and this, like, you know, so I was like, who cares? I was like, I can do a little extra work. It's fine. But yeah, just to make it extra fun. Right. So,
yes, of course. Well, it's an absolutely stunning creation, and I'm so obsessed with this deck. So thank you so very much for, you know, on behalf of the whole tarot community, seriously, for this beautiful creation and getting this out into the world, because it's such a special deck. And thank you as well for taking the time to speak with us this afternoon, or me, I guess. Really appreciate it.
Fun.
So we'll put all the links below if anybody wants to check out her Instagram, which I highly recommend following. Her stories are always so fun out in the nature and things. And there was one other thing I wanted to say. So I am someone, I camp a lot, I hike a lot, I love going outside, and I like to take different decks onto certain trips. And when this became available, when I first saw it on your Instagram, before the Kickstarter was around, I thought, like, this could not be a more perfect deck to take out on a hike, or to take out camping, or to, you know what I mean? And camping season is slowly upon us, so I can't wait to take it out. It's gone on a few hikes so far, and it's just next level magical reading with this bad boy outside. It really is.
Yeah, so, and they look very happy in nature. Somehow when you take the photos of them outside, they're very happy cards. They're like, yeah, definitely. They love that good little outdoors. Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much again, Linda. And if you like the video, subscribe, share, with all the kinds of things, send comments below. What did you think? If you have the deck and all that good stuff. If you don't have the deck, you should get it, because it's stunning. And she has some more left over. So. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Linda, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks again.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Okay, folks. So we have a quick extra little nugget. This is not little nugget. This is a massive nugget, and I'm so excited. Linda, I'll let you take it away.
At the bottom of this video, you'll see, and you get to win one of my decks even before they're for sale, which is very exciting. First edition. Yeah, so just like, subscribe, and comment below, and you'll be entered, and all the details will be below.
Yes, you guys, did you hear that? So if you want to win a copy, your very own copy of the Northern Animal Tarot, it comes with the extra cards, it comes with the bag, and it's just the most incredible deck. I am all over it. Yeah, comment below and let us know that you subscribed, because sometimes if you're an existing subscriber, you're eligible as well. But, you know, comment and like and subscribe. The little button, even if your comment below says subscribed, love the video, whatever, that'll enter you into the contest, and it will be when, I'm not sure, well, I'm not entirely certain at the point that this video is going to be posted, but from the time it's posted for 7 days, we will announce the winner 7 days later. So this will go out on a Saturday. Next Saturday we'll be announcing the winner. So that is so generous of you, Linda. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Excellent. So yeah, follow the instructions below and you can have a chance to win.
Thank you for engaging with us. Please like, subscribe and share. To book a personal, in-depth reading and to learn more about our incredible courses in tarot and astrology, please visit our website www.thepomegranate.grove.com.